All right, let's get started. Moving on from what is the word?
Destruction of cars.
Destruction of cars.
Yeah.
I was going to say irresponsibility, but
That works too.
that works too.
I don't like that word.
Well, now you know for next time.
Yeah, please, no for next time.
Oh, goodness. All right. So I am very, very excited for this podcast tonight. It has absolutely nothing to do with our salvation.
Well,
Conspiracy theory number
some
one.
people who believe in some of this stuff, I am not so sure they know Jesus, but
Right.
kidding. I'm kidding-ish.
Ish. Ish. I'm starting to see some things now.
Yeah, there's just some things in there.
Starting to
like-
see some flaws with what I opened with.
Yeah, it really doesn't, though. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with salvation.
But they're just fun to talk about.
Yeah.
They're just fun to talk about. So what we're doing tonight, we're going over different conspiracy theories. Doesn't necessarily mean we agree with them, but we found them, and they're just, like I said, fun to talk about.
We most likely don't agree with any of them.
Says you.
If you don't agree with anything.
I stand behind every one of mine tonight. I'm just joking.
We all know David thinks aliens are real, so...
When did I say that?
Episode 5, 6, whatever episode
Something
we talk
like
about
that.
aliens.
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's so renowned that even when Josh was on our podcast, he brought up the fact. Like, it's one of our least watched episodes, but anybody who knows us knows about that episode.
Yeah.
You say it like it's a nuanced thing. like there are a lot of people that
point out
believe
the
it.
big words.
Yeah.
Oh,
All
my
right. So,
goodness.
yeah, conspiracy theories. We're obviously not going to cover all of them because
There's too
there
many.
are so many.
Yeah.
Here until next podcast.
Yeah.
But we all just kind of went through and picked out a couple or one or some that we thought were hilarious or thought were dangerous. There are some, I will agree that some are very dangerous because they get people to do crazy things. You know,
Throw away their life savings.
yeah, you know, that kind of stuff. Nothing too bad, but no. And I do think, and I'll probably touch on this a little bit as Christians, though, because it doesn't. If you believe in some of these conspiracy theories or you don't, it does not apply to our salvation. But I do think as Christians, we need to be careful on some of the things we let ourselves get wrapped up in, because it can definitely destroy our testimony.
Yep.
You know,
No.
if you
You believe in aliens. Just say it.
No, I was going to say if you think birds aren't real, you should tell people that Jesus is real. Like, I just...
Might have to question your credibility.
So you went ahead and brought it up, so let's go ahead and start with that one. First off, I want to tell everybody right now, birds aren't real. Birds is actually an acronym. Bureaucratic Intelligence Reconnaissance Drone. So here was the deal, okay?
So explain to us what the birds is the birds aren't real conspiracy.
So
Did you do any research, Corey, on any of these? No, so this is all news to you.
It's
Okay,
so
because I
funny.
see his face over there. It's like,
It's
what
so
the heck?
so okay, so there's
This is true. Like, also, I just want to put this little disclaimer out there.
He asked you to explain.
Nothing. I know,
That's how
but
you speak.
for the people who do happen to listen to this one, first off, I apologize. Secondly, nothing we're going to talk about tonight is fake in this. Like, it's pretty much all fake, but it's fake in this. People really believe this stuff.
Yes.
Like, it's
They've
all
invested time, energy, and lots of them money into these things.
So when we say things, people really do believe this. So that's, anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so to begin, there was this young guy. I forget his name, but there was this young guy. He's a teenager, right? Shows up to, in 2017, right after Trump was inaugurated, there was a women's rights protest going on, and some people showed up and, like, protested the protest, essentially, right? And his mindset on it was just leave it all alone. It doesn't matter anyway. Just let them do their thing, do whatever they want. And so he was, like, kind of upset with the people that showed up to the protest, protesting them, essentially. So he thought it would be funny to show up with a sign that had absolutely nothing to do with the original protest that was going on. And so in his head, he's like, I'm going to come up with the weirdest thing that I can think of. So he wrote down on a sign, "Birds aren't real." He goes to this protest, and he's holding the sign, standing by himself, just standing there with this sign. And then all of a sudden, there's all this camera footage that he starts getting, and all these videos start going up, uploading, and this just takes off, right? So it starts in 2017, right? Time goes on. He starts telling a couple of his friends about this idea and actually ends up hiring some people to basically act like enthusiasts for this belief that birds aren't real. So they like recorded a video that was supposed to be from like the 1970s or 80s or something like that, that this theory began back then, right? So the background of it is that the government around that time
Can't even say its face.
conducted a mass genocide of all the birds on the earth. Killed them all and replaced every single one of them with robotic bird drones.
So you're telling me this entire conspiracy started as a joke?
Oh, the whole thing was a joke.
And people still believe it.
But he played the character for like 3 or 4 years straight.
It says he's
Never
like-
broke character.
It says he's the main spokesman for it. Like it's like his full-time job now is
Yeah.
birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real. That is his job. For like I said, like 3 or 4 years, he never broke character. Like he really dove into this, believed it, pushed it, and people started getting on board and following him
He's a
in this joke.
He's a genius.
He starts selling T-shirts. He starts selling all sorts of merchandise, making money off of all these people believing in his fake, in his conspiracy
He's
theory.
practically- he's making money off it.
Yes.
We got to start something.
And then
We
at a
gotta
certain
start
point,
ourselves.
he finally
Calzones
like
aren't pizza.
so he finally opens up and he's like, "Oh yeah, this whole thing was satire. It's supposed to be like an idea to push, you know, it's ridiculous how easy people will begin to buy into something, how easy it is to convince people of something," which is exactly what happened. And all these people lost so much money and time because of it, which is kind of sad. But okay, so here's some of his logic behind it, okay? So first off, all birds were massacred, right? Every bird on the planet. They believe that. That's what
Genocide.
that's what they would push. A mass genocide of birds on this earth. You know how we always see birds like out and about? Well, they're usually sitting on telephone wires or electric wires, and that's actually their charging stations. So they go and they land on these wires and their
David's like,
feet.
oh, this makes sense.
And the reason why they're
They got
two-legged
this information
creatures.
from aliens.
The reason why
Comparing the two. It's apples and zucchini.
sorry, go.
the reason why they're two-legged creatures is because there has to be a closed circuit, right? So like there's a positive leg and a negative leg, so it has to go into the battery that's stored inside of their body.
It's actually really good logic. Like when you're playing it out, like, oh yeah, that's how they're powered.
It makes
Straight
sense.
up.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
mean,
then they came up with this other theory that COVID was created so that they could recharge and replace all the birds that needed fixing.
I
Everybody
did
was
read
inside,
that.
You couldn't see the birds getting recharged.
Yeah, everybody was inside,
Exactly.
so the birds. I read that. Yeah, or watched
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And I sent you guys a video too, but like the thought behind the whole, how many birds do we see every single day when we're out and about? Like they're everywhere. They're everywhere. How many nests do you see? Answer me
very
that.
many.
Not very
We
many.
don't see very many.
So they
That's
all
true.
share their nests, and that's kind of like a USB information
To
data
upload all
port
of their
where they
stuff.
upload all of the videos and voice recordings that they've gotten
know
throughout the day.
who's pouring through the data? You know,
It's the government, man.
That's a lot of
Could it
data
be-
with that many
Let me
birds.
just throw this idea out there. Could it be that they make their nests and they hide them so they don't get destroyed every day? Could that be a possibility?
Nah, that's not it. You
You're
guys have
talking
heard
about
of
the
Area
birds
51.
being smart. Yeah.
All right. Just wanted to rule that one out.
So the other thing, there was actually, they said there was an attack on emus in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Right? There was an attack on emus because they were like overrunning the land. The humans lost.
2 countries have declared war on birds,
Yup.
and both of them
And
have.
both of them have lost because they're government
Just
drones
think about that.
and they can do whatever they want.
Also,
Do whatever they want.
this is another little piece of information.
Hayden's
Earth-
all excited about this.
Earth is the only planet in our solar system that has billions of deaths. It is also the only planet with birds. Case closed.
I can't even take it.
We haven't even gotten through one.
But by the logic of conspiracy theorists, you're 100% right.
It's also the only one.
You're the only planet with birds. We're the only planet with deaths. Oh, this is gonna be a.
Oh, you're right.
How do you just wonder, like, how do people?
We just came right out the gate with the stupidest
Oh,
one we
yeah.
could possibly come up with.
Well, I just wonder how people can like lock onto something like that and just fully like dive into it.
Oh, just believe it?
Believe
And
it,
push it
with,
also.
with everything in them. They believe it.
But
Not everybody, obviously, but, some
But
people.
people also think there are aliens on other planets, and they would believe and lock onto that. So like, and in same kind, in like manner, to use King James, in like people also believe that nothing came or something came from nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, I mean, you believe that there are no such thing as birds. You believe in aliens. You believe in evolution. It's all kind of the same thing.
It's a bunch of
I
craziness.
feel like this might be a slight attack towards somebody.
Just people who believe in aliens.
Just, you know why we actually don't know that there's aliens out there is because there's no bird drones out there looking
tell
for
us.
proof.
Tell us if they're. You're right.
Yeah. Imagine if they sent the Mars rover with a bird drone inside of the rover. It wouldn't have to.
With the Mars rover, they just put
The
a
Mars
little
rover
charging
would have a
cable
bat.
on the
Oh,
rover.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't mention the battery. Ah, man,
Yeah,
that's a good point, Corey.
dropped it.
You got me.
So we could just use real drones to go and check Mars attached to the Mars rover
Yeah.
instead of bird drones, right? Like,
But you need the bird drones.
But then the Martians will know that they're being served.
oh, good point. Good point. If a bird,
Disguise them
if
as
a bird is just flying over Mars,
Bird wouldn't be shocking to them.
Like, what is that? Oh my goodness.
You know, it's funny. No, it's funny because like someone would need to think that because they technically could. They watch us all the time, anyways. There's cameras everywhere and footage of everything and our phones. You know, like
well, I did.
They wanted to make it less obvious, so
yeah.
they put it in birds.
Because on the one thing that you sent out today, like they were talking about, like we think we're smart because we put like tape over the cameras on our laptops, but there's a bird sitting on our window,
Yeah.
oh,
And we're just like, oh wow, how cute is that
and
thing?
we don't care about the bird sitting on our window, but it's watching us.
And we
more
bring
closely
home
than the
Pet birds.
bring home pet birds.
Pet birds.
We just put them in our
to
house
watch us.
We don't want to buy an Alexa, but we got a pet bird,
It's listening at all
just
times.
sending all of the information.
I love that. Is there any other animal on this earth that can talk? No.
It's because they're robots.
They're robots.
oh,
Oh, it's so silly. Okay, but yeah,
That's a good point.
bunch
It
of
is.
silliness there.
it is silly, but people believe it.
Yep.
And I think that that's a good way to start off with in this because people believe stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Like really do. And as we go through the rest of them, that one isn't serious. It doesn't cause a lot of problems. People aren't, losing their lives over it or freaking out so much. But there are conspiracy theories where people do actually ruin their lives over it.
couldn't you say it's a conspiracy theory that stuff like that is created to delegitimize actual conspiracies?
Right? To make people just think that, that one's stupid. So
Suppose this kid was paid by the government.
To
To
get
m-
everybody off their
To-
scent.
No,
right?
no. He was paid to actually say, "Oh, the whole thing was a joke," but he was actually right.
Oh, now you're
Oh.
thinking of
Oh.
yeah.
But he was actually
Oh,
right.
that's
And they're
true.
like, "Hey, we can't have people knowing that all these birds are fake, man. You got to tell everybody it was a joke."
that
He had years invested into this.
that could have happened.
He was a young guy. That's a high percentage
And
of his
he was
life.
making money. Why would he stop making money?
Exactly.
For no reason?
Exactly. I'll tell you why. Because the government paid him off.
Makes sense. I'll tell you. I told David when we got here tonight, I'm like, dude, I was really uncomfortable. Like I was Googling conspiracy theories thinking I should switch to DuckDuckGo because like I'm like turn on my VPN. Like
That'll save you. They got birds flying around. Watch us. VPN ain't doing nothing.
Your VPN is gonna save you from the millions.
Where do you live, Taryn? You live in the woods. You're surrounded.
A lot of birds.
You're surrounded. Think about how many more nests are out there.
Not a lot of nests, but a lot of birds.
As far as you've seen.
Yeah, a lot of
But
birds.
so what? We've all shot birds in here, right? They don't have any batteries in them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
Like-
soon.
Yeah.
And we've never found a battery in them before.
See, some suppose that they actually didn't get them all.
Oh.
Some.
They're
Yeah.
just so lucky that we've never shot a drone. We've only shot real birds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Can't tell you how many
See,
turkeys
the
I've
drones
shot,
are
how
smart.
many-
Yeah, they see that orange
Yeah.
on the hunter and they're like, "I'm out."
Okay.
Yeah,
You just gotta
but
stand
but
still,
they'll
and then they won't know that you're there.
Do you know how the military has infrared like reflectors on their uniforms so that way
Mhm.
any type of air support can activate?
Right.
They have those in the hunting vests with the reflectors.
Oh yeah, we have reflectors on
Really?
our hunting vests.
Why do you think they put those there?
Yeah, so the birds don't run away.
Come on, Corey, get up here.
Makes sense to me.
My point was debunked.
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
For the record, birds are real.
Birds are real. They are definitely real,
Just want to say,
and a lot of them are quite delicious.
most of them are quite delicious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't eaten most of them though.
I haven't even most birds.
Okay.
I've eaten a couple birds.
All the ones I've ever had.
The
are
handful
pretty
that
good.
I've had
Yeah.
Right.
are quite delicious.
All right, who wants to go with our next one?
Go for it.
No, I don't want to go next.
No, I think you do.
I don't want to go next.
I don't even know what this is.
Well, I'm
so
not.
You have to
I'm not
explain.
going to tell you. No, you
Yes.
go. You go next.
No, you go next.
All right.
Come on, guys.
So, I want to talk about QAnon.
Oh,
Oh.
See, I
Yeah.
don't know
that
what
was big for a
means.
while.
So Hayden looks over and goes, "What is canon?" I'm like,
Canon.
Canon is when something happens in fiction. And
That's how it's spelled. I just sounded it out.
QAnon. So QAnon was a big push that kind of disappeared for a little bit, and then came back. And it is one of
coming
those conspiracy. Huh?
Is it coming back?
It's coming back, and apparently, like in September of this year, it came back because certain individuals like embraced it and talked about it, and then boom. But QAnon, and I think that's what how you call it, QAnon,
QAnon.
QAnon,
Anonymous.
Anonymous, QAnonymous.
I pronounced it canon.
Is this conspiracy theory that is highly followed by evangelicals, which is one of those things where, when I was saying at the beginning of this, like, we got to be careful what we talk about and then try and preach Jesus because it's a mess. But it really did jump into the voting fraud that happened with Trump and Biden, and how the secret government was controlling all of those things.
I knew
and
somebody was going to bring that up.
yeah, and how the elitists like the Clintons and Bill Gates and all of them eat babies. Like, no joke, they eat babies to get adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome, yeah.
Adrenochrome, yes.
This doesn't
You
sound
got it.
outlandish at all.
Doesn't sound what?
Outlandish at all. Sounds very reasonable.
Yeah, but it kind of comes from the Illuminati type thing with this one world government where the elitists in America are conspiring together to create a one world government, and they eat babies to stay young and to revitalize them.
They're
and
witches.
Witches.
They're all
Oh,
witches.
they're all witches. Yeah.
They're all witches.
Anyways, but it creates a lot of problems because there's a lot of things like adrenochrome, which we can't prove is being eaten by the elites. We're just talking about the Clintons eating babies, or drinking blood, or having human sacrificial rituals to further their power in the government, right? And so when we start jumping on this bandwagon as evangelicals and saying things and that really do line up with the QAnon thing or QAnon, I really feel like it can harm our testimony. And I think we have to be very careful on what we information that we get, and we need to really check: is it a conspiracy theory or is it true? And when I was doing research on this, there was a guy, a pastor, who was saying who was crazy. No joke, he was crazy, and
Just really throwing it out there.
yeah, anything we talk about today, from my perspective, if you believe it, you're crazy. Now y'all might believe certain things. It is what it is, but.
I think I've got one that you might.
Agree with?
I don't know about agree, but at least not like refute it.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm also excited.
Because
Yeah.
I pretty much, if it's a conspiracy theory, I'm going to make fun of you. Like, I don't care. Like, no joke. I'm going to
Same.
make fun of you. Like, 100%. But this pastor's like, I never say anything from the pulpit that I can't back up. And if they want to sue me for it, like when he talked about, I don't know, he talked about Tom Hanks being a pedophile. Oh, that's the whole thing. Every single person in the QAnon thing is a pedophile, and they eat the babies. I don't know. It's all kind of just convoluted, intertwined with one world order or new world order.
The theory is they basically torture babies.
Yeah, torture babies. But no, they eat it because they need the adrenochrome. Like, they need to ingest the adrenochrome to live longer.
What is that?
You explain adrenochrome.
From what I remember.
Because David's followed this closely.
Definitely don't run a forum on it.
I'm going to check and see now.
So adrenochrome, it's basically like this hormone or whatever that's released from your pituitary gland, and the more adrenaline someone has going, the more is produced, and when they can harvest it, then they can actually take that for health effects to get high or be healthy.
Which, when you were talking about this, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
We were talking about this? He had, because I didn't hear, he had actually told me about adrenochrome, and I had never heard of it before. And then today, when I was looking up QAnon, there was a ton of stuff in there about adrenochrome. So it's all, it's all just kind of, all of these are kind of intermingled except for the birds one. That's probably not really intermingled, but unless the
just
government paid him off.
No,
and then,
maybe.
of course, it is.
That
But
was just fun to talk about.
Reconnaissance drones were
he
out
was
there.
talking about like this adrenochrome is produced because of adrenaline, and which is can come from a bunch of different things. But when he was talking about it, it made me think of Monsters Inc. How their
harvested the
entire
screams.
they would harvest the fear of the children to power their city, and I'm
So
like,
what you're telling me is they're all monsters.
Monsters Inc. is like a way to desensitize the public to the elitists stealing
That makes
this
sense.
stuff from children. Or a hidden message to like say help us, or like hidden message
the
like
people, the people of Disney are like, get out now.
Like
Yeah.
Disney, Pixar are trying to warn us about something, or
Or
they're like getting behind it and they're like, this is
what's
just
happening.
normal stuff.
Yeah, this is normal
Oh.
stuff.
If it's Disney,
They're probably getting behind it.
we
So,
know what side they're on.
but so it's like, the Scream's powering the Monster City, and now the elitists are being powered by this thing. But a lot of these, of course, come down to these elitists, these very influential people, celebrities, politicians, all these people in America specifically. Some things that I read about or watched included China and Putin and different things, but most of it takes place in America, which I also think is kind of hilarious. Like all the conspiracy theories about stuff is America's the only one doing it, or the one in charge of it all. It just seems very arrogant on
We're
my
the
part,
only
but-
country that truly has freedom of speech, Taryn.
which is why we're the
Truly.
only country that can come up with
That
craziest
comes up with this
things. Like,
stupid garbage.
That's a good point.
exactly. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are like against politicians. And I'm not for politicians. Most of them I think are crooked. I get it. But I don't think they're all part of some secret society where they have this underlying thing where they're controlling the world government and all of this stuff. I don't see that happening until the Antichrist.
Well,
Right?
yeah, that's the thing, though, is like the belief is it's setting up for it, right?
Setting up for it, but it's not happening.
It's being developed right
It's
now.
being developed. I just don't see how we can have all this happening and then like just the Antichrist comes on and just like, I'm going to take over all of this that you've already done. I think he's going to step on the stage and create a government and set up all this stuff. There doesn't have to be all these pre-set up things by Americans to create the
twist.
one world government. I think he comes up and says, hey, I have a new way of doing things that is a new government. This is what we're going to do. So when we talk about the New World Order or the one government or all of this stuff, I really have a hard time getting behind that because I don't see how that fits in with the Antichrist coming in and setting up his own one world government. And I do not think that the Antichrist, and I'm pretty sure if anybody actually watches this episode, we might get some comments on this one. I do not think that the Antichrist is going to be funded by the Clintons. I really don't. I don't feel like he's sitting there
That
like
Clinton money.
like the Clintons and Bill Gates, like they're just tight with the Antichrist, and so like they're working all this stuff out so that he can take power. I don't see how that plays together. I really don't. So when we're talking about the 1%ers and the elitists and all of this stuff, are they bad people? Probably. Are they doing a bunch of stuff they shouldn't do? Absolutely. Are they crooked? Are they working behind the scenes and breaking a bunch of laws and doing things that are probably disgusting? I'm sure. Are they part of some the preacher that I was watching today, some crack smoking Satan worshipers or something? I don't think that everybody in the government or that's famous is some crack smoking Satan worshipers, demonists or whatever. I don't think so.
That escalated quickly.
But according to QAnon, they're all crack smoking demon worshipers, and Trump and his generals are trying to take them down. I feel like things that Trump had said about cleaning up Washington and trying to get the country back to where it should be got exploded into this whole conspiracy theory where like he's part of some secret task force against the Satan worshiping elitists. And it just became this whole thing. And I don't see how it follows through on a grand scale, especially when I compare it to biblical things.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just don't see how it's wrong. They're bad people. I don't trust them. But I don't see one world order stuff happening based off of the Clintons and Microsoft. You know, I just don't. So that's the one that I was looking at. Was QAnon. It kind of goes a lot with the Illuminati and that whole same kind of thing. I was nervous about bringing it up though because most evangelicals in the world really believe in the QAnon thing and a lot of the message that they preach about maybe not eating babies, but the elitists conspiring with Satan to destroy America. As though that's all that matters to Satan is only America and not the rest of the world, you know?
No, I think that's, I mean, I don't know about QAnon, I don't follow that at all, but
I'm shocked. No. Not shocked that you would believe it, but like every time I bring something up, you're like, have you heard about such and such? And I'm like, I have no idea. And you're like, oh, and then you educate me on a lot of the stuff that
I remember
is
when
out there.
When it first came out and I'm trying to think, like on Reddit and 4chan, all that stuff, it was there. And at first, it was, from what I remember, it was kind of, believable because like someone would post pictures of like, would seem like Area 51 out the window and say, we're going to go do this and tomorrow there's going to be this happening. And so I always thought it was just someone close to Trump that like was just
messing with stuff.
messing with people. They're just doing it to do it. And then it kind of stopped and then it started going to like just way off into left field.
Crazy stuff, right? Well, and this pastor was saying, he said, I never say anything I can't back up. If they want to sue me, I ask them to sue me. I don't say anything I haven't seen firsthand. And I'm like, so you've seen them eat the babies? like, why didn't you intervene? And
Try to stop
the
it.
reporter who's asking him asks the same question. So you've seen them eat babies? And he's like, well, I won't say anything I haven't seen. And he dodges the question a lot around that. But the guy who it was a huge thing, and it was a big part of the January 6th thing, right? And we're not going to get into the January 6th thing, but the guy with the horned fur hat with this painted face,
Right.
I don't know. Anyways, he was the shaman of QAnon. And was the big thing, and he got sentenced to 3 years in jail.
Several years, yeah.
Yeah.
What's sad is I don't think he really did anything to, but like he walked into a building
Technically, anyways, yeah.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, that's all he did. But he was like the face behind the whole movement that stormed the Capitol, and he was very much a promoter of QAnon. And even he went to what I was reading today is he went to court. They charged him. He admitted to it, like, yeah, I went into the Capitol. And but they're downplaying it a lot, which is the conspiracy theory part, right? So he started talking about how he had mental illness and he never had treatment for that mental illness, and that's why he started pushing this whole QAnon thing and all of the stuff around mental illness. And he wasn't in his right mind, and he needed help. And so he's like, I need help. I'm a danger to myself and society. So I plead guilty. And so they sentenced him to 3 years. And then when he got to jail, he recanted that, and he's like, I'm appealing my sentence. The government's crazy, and all of this stuff, and went back and forth. And so it's just funny when you really look into some of the things that people do, because they really do believe that the government is conspiring and worshiping Satan to bring the downfall of America while eating babies. And to me, that's
Like
where you
somebody
lost
would've
me.
found out for sure by now.
You would think, but
yeah.
but it ties into the whole sex trafficking ring
Yeah.
and all of the stuff that's associated with the Democratic Party. And basically, according to QAnon, if you're part of the Democratic Party, you're automatically going to hell. There is no salvation for you. And so, like,
It's just common knowledge.
I mean, I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just saying.
That kind of attitude sounds very Christ-like.
But it is very much like but it's all intertwined. So the sex trafficking is part of the Democratic
But
Party.
you get into that, and like I said, a lot of the sex trafficking stuff and all that comes from like WikiLeaks and all that, emails being hacked and emails being released. So there is a lot of weird stuff that goes on with our politicians, and I think you start lumping everything together, it does break. You know what I mean?
I definitely think our politicians are crooked. I definitely think that they make money off of very illegal things that are despicable. I don't think they always know what it is. I don't think that they're necessarily hands-on with all of the stuff, but they know this money isn't legit, but I'm getting rich, so it's okay. Like, I do think there's a lot of underlying things, but I don't think there's some part of secret cult that they're, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like there's this conspiracy of a one world order that all the politicians are working towards.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't think it's politicians. If you're going to go along the theory, it would be the politicians are more the puppets being put up by like world leaders. You got like the Rothschilds and stuff. Like, what do they say? Like 70% of the wealth in the world is ran by like 10 families or something like that, and you don't ever see them.
So they're the demon worshippers,
pretty much.
pretty much.
Along with other, I mean, you mentioned earlier something about people drinking blood. Literally saw something the other day about, it was Megan Fox, and she's dating
Yeah, the weird guy.
MGK. They drink
Yeah.
each other's blood. They literally drink each other's blood as part of like a ritualistic thing between the two of them.
People being crazy.
That's pretty sick.
Incarnation?
People being crazy has nothing to do with this secret cult that is trying to bring the downfall of society so they can start over and make their own
Maybe
devil
that's the end
world.
game, though. Maybe
How
that's
do you
the end
rectify,
game.
though, with people like Soros who have made statements about the New World Order is coming. There's nothing you can do about
Oh,
it.
I definitely think that there is a new world order that they want to take place. I don't think
Yeah.
that they're all working together for that. I don't see how they could
Look,
possibly
like
work
the World
together.
Economic Forum.
I do not see how all of the world leaders could work together
They
to
literally meet
reach
together,
this. I understand that, and then they fight.
and
Yeah,
they
they
say
disagree on every point.
And then they declare war on
Except
each
for
other
one
and
thing.
invade other countries.
Klaus Schwab literally
So they
said.
disagree with everything except
Klaus Schwab literally said, "We're gonna eat bugs. That's our future."
We're gonna eat bugs.
Bugs.
Well, yeah, because they think there's
Meat
gonna
is
be a nuclear,
unsustainable,
probably a
it's bad for the
nuclear
planet.
holocaust, and all that's left are bugs. But what I'm saying though is like, again, so same thing, right?
Yeah.
Let's go to flat earthers.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not even the same at all.
No. But it goes my point. So flat earthers.
Yeah, flat earthers are right.
Oh Lord.
No, that's not the one.
Have you ever
That's
been to
not the one.
space? Have you?
I have not been to space.
Okay.
I'm taking the word of somebody else.
I've
I
seen
had
pictures.
a math teacher my freshman year who admitted to being a part of the Flat Earth Society.
Oh,
Dead serious. He was 100%.
that's who's teaching our children.
That's who's teaching our children.
This is the one you might hurt people's feelings.
Flat Earth. Sorry if you believe in flat Earth.
Well, and you know what's
I'm
sad?
sorry that you're so
You said
gullible and
earlier
ignorant.
about you got to be careful about what you say because it can hurt your witness. There's some people that use parts of Scripture to back up their flat Earth theory.
Oh my goodness, I know.
I would love to see that scripture.
It's horrible. I could probably find it
He's gonna find it.
Please do.
here. You keep
Um,
talking.
But flat earthers, so flat earthers believe that the entire, like all the world governments have worked together for hundreds and hundreds of years to spread the propaganda and belief system that the earth is not flat. The same with them,
Yep.
to the same with this one world order, all of the governments working. They do meet together, they do, but they don't all get along, and they can't even agree on a currency, they can't agree on a measuring system, they can't agree on what country should have military power and shouldn't have military power. They invade each other on a dime, they cut off certain things, they sanction each other. There's no way that they can all just come together and be like, but we're all going to come together and agree that we're going to have one world order and the earth is flat and we're going to hide it from people. Like, come on. Somebody
They
at
don't
some
care about the
point
flat Earth.
would let it slip. Right? Like, at some point, there would be something that was definitive
Well, yeah.
proof.
Because they talk about like pilots and how they're in on it too. Because we're a big circle, right, surrounded by Antarctica.
Yeah.
And the pilots are in on it, and they reroute, and it's like this is a big serious
There is no way to keep
Operation.
things so secretive that there wouldn't be more proof that there is a secret society who worships Satan and eats babies and is trying to get a one world government together. There is no way that there wouldn't be some sort of proof. Like, if it was real to the extent that people believe it's real, there would be something more definitive.
Hey man, all I know is this guy put a boat into a canal, right? And he puts a telescope. I found the verse, by the way. Puts a telescope where the boat is, where it starts. It's a 6-mile canal, dead straight, like perfectly straight. It's like perfect. Okay. So based on the curvature of the Earth, supposedly, if this guy drives his boat straight forward, at a certain point, it should be lower by like 8 inches or something like that, right? This guy does this. It's dead straight the entire way. Another guy hops in an airplane with a leveler, okay? This sucker stayed perfectly level the whole time except for takeoff and descent. That's all I'm saying. So here's...
You realize the whole point of the leveler is to make sure that they stay going straight.
Exactly, they're level though.
Did you pop out the other side?
but they're level the whole time. If it was... This guy flew from
They're
somewhere...
level on... Never
This
mind.
guy flew from somewhere in South
The
America.
plane is level.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean the earth is level.
No.
The
You gotta
plane
listen.
is level.
You gotta listen. If this guy flew from somewhere in South America, right, all the way back home, I think he was from like Europe or something like that. Okay, flying thousands of miles. He has this leveler on the little tray table, right? At some point, because of the curvature of the Earth, you would have to dip the nose down to match the curvature of the Earth.
Or
It
maybe
never
gravity
happened.
does it for you.
Over thousands of miles. It never happened, except for the descent. Where
I
they-
watched. There was a. There was actually like a documentary on Netflix, like 4 or 5 years ago about this,
People, I don't believe this.
and they
want you to know
were
that.
talking about
Sounds
how
like you're-
Dude, Jeremy.
I'm
they
all
were
insecure
used
now.
like all these different tools, and they did the plane thing,
Uh-huh.
and then finally it was like 6 or 8 miles. They're like, all right, if this works, we're gonna put this post at exactly the same height as this other post, but 8 miles away, and then we're gonna shoot this laser beam. There's gonna be a
Yes,
hole
you
in
know
it,
too.
and we're gonna shoot this laser beam, and it will go through both holes because it's flat. Well, it didn't work out, and the laser beam didn't work. And
Yeah.
then they started explaining how like
It's probably a hill or something like that.
there
It
was a
wasn't
hill. Yeah, there was.
perfectly flat.
Yeah, it wasn't. There was a hill, and and there was
Exactly.
some different things, and the laser beam was off.
Yeah.
It was all
Yeah,
sorts of
I
stuff.
still
Well, and
have
then-
yet to see somebody try that on an actual flat surface
Based
where there's
on-
no hill.
Based on the refraction of the light, you know, because of the atmosphere that we're in, it caused it to shift.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I just want to see the first person just like
I just started talking. I don't
go
know if any of that makes
straight
sense.
and see where you end up.
Yeah.
You know,
You're gonna end up if I go straight west from here, and I keep going straight west, I'm gonna end up in
The ocean.
Antarctica.
New York or something. Like, I'm not going to fall off the face of the planet. I think we've done this enough times.
Well,
like,
that-
people have floating
Look,
around.
Well-
Look, that's because once you hit the edge, it teleports you to the other side.
Okay.
You don't
But I never,
fall off,
I never
like,
saw
there's a-
ice wall.
Well, that's because
No,
the government
so-
hides it from you.
Oh, the government hides it from.
The windows on the airplane, electronic.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
a good one.
That is a good
I
one.
like that.
It's all a hologram.
Electronic airplane windows.
It's all a hologram. Maybe we're all not even real. We're in the Matrix.
The Earth is a simulation.
That is a huge one.
That's a really big one, actually. So here's the scripture people will use to support their flat Earth theories. It says, Revelation chapter 7, verse number 1. It says, "And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth.
That
The
doesn't
wind should
sound
not
symbolic
blow
at
on
all.
the earth, nor on the sea." And then there's another one in Revelation that basically just says the same
The
thing.
same thing about the 4
Yeah.
corners.
I
of the
think
earth.
we
That's
should
right.
take that verse completely literal.
They were holding the wind.
Yeah, wouldn't that mean that we're a big square?
Yeah, not even round. We're a square around a disc.
Well, you see the map of a flat Earth, right? It's not like
it's always a square.
it's not like a dime like some flat earthers will say. It's more like a snow globe. So it's flat, but then the atmosphere is above us.
So they're saying
right?
it's round.
Well,
No, the atmosphere is
Half of
round.
it.
The
Yeah.
Earth is flat.
so
I want to I need a board so I can draw on it for all.
so
the people
it looks like
watching.
this.
Oh,
If you're
yeah,
yeah,
like
so it
this.
looks like this, okay?
We're all
So
doing the same thing.
in the entire edge.
For those listening on Spotify, we're doing weird things with our hands. That's
Yeah,
what we're
sorry.
doing right now. It's just
You can't see it. You should go watch the videos now. So the entire edge of this flat Earth is the South Pole, is Antarctica, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
is Antarctica. So the entire thing is surrounded there. So your theory earlier about like the falling off the edge of the Earth, you wouldn't, because the Earth, all the landmarks, all the continents and everything, it wraps around the center, and at the very center is the North Pole. So you'd keep going. If you kept going west, you sailed west, you'd eventually run into Asia, right? And then you'd go through Asia, and then you'd get to Europe, and then you'd leave Europe, and then you'd eventually come back to the east
So you're
coast
going
of
in
the
a
United States.
circle.
You're going in a circle around the North Pole.
not in a straight line. You're going in
Correct.
a circle.
Correct.
So why?
Your compass
Would it be
would
like one of
change
those
at some
spirals,
point.
though? It'd be off course. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, at some point you're gonna. Yeah, and like Corey said, your compass would change at some point. If you're going west, at some point it's gonna show that you're going east or
East.
north.
Hey,
or
have you ever thought about the fact that when you get down to Australia, the toilet bowl water swirls the other direction
think
because
that
the
I-
magnetic
That's
pole?
I think
urban
that
legend.
I think I heard that that's yeah. I think I heard that that's not real.
Urban legend.
That's absolutely
Well,
fake.
right,
I just
isn't
tried
that
to pull
what it
something.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read that's not real.
But the magnetic pole would adjust
so if-
your compass along the way.
If the North Pole is in the center,
Yeah.
why is it colder than every other area surrounding it?
have you ever been to the North Pole?
Yeah. Hayden, how do you know it's not like some tropical island?
Well, isn't North Pole like northern Canada and Alaska? I know people have been
yeah,
there. It's
like
cold. I've
it's
been to Canada in the winter.
north.
It's cold. It's
up
cold.
Past it, right?
North.
Kind of off-centered. It's not like true north.
It's not really north. It's more of a true zero.
All right, argue with
Because
this
everything
one.
starts
Okay,
and
so-
expands.
If you
up.
get your own telescope, you can do this at home if you have enough money for a
Hey,
telescope.
it's like I'm frustrated. Let me tell you how to fix this.
And you look at any other planet in the solar system,
Yeah.
tell me that it's flat.
How do you
can't.
know it's not just
It's
it's
a
just
disc.
facing you? It's a disc in the sky.
They're all just discs going over us.
Exactly.
Now the telescope thing. If the
So there.
Earth were flat, you could go to the coast and look out with a telescope strong enough and see like England.
Well, no, because you can still only see so far because it's too many.
That's why I said with a strong enough telescope,
Yeah. No.
you could see.
Well, technically, the telescope that shows us the moon should be able to show us England.
Right,
If we
because
just,
the
like-
moon
Way
is
farther.
way farther than England.
That's what I'm saying.
Miles farther.
So we just took that telescope instead of pointing up at the sky and just leveled it out.
Let's get a hold of Hubble.
Get your level, get your little level, and make sure the telescope is perfectly flat. And then look at the ocean and see if you see land on the other side.
Yeah, but you see, the issue is that the waves are too big. So after a certain point, the waves are way closer than
Yeah.
the land mass.
So it's going to cover
so it's
it
gonna
up.
cover it.
Yeah.
So it'd be like if I was standing in front of my nephew Austin. I'm way bigger than he is because Or wait,
At that
eventually,
distan- at that
eventually he
distance,
could be
it's
bigger
gonna-
than
yeah.
me because he'd be way closer.
Yeah.
So if I was standing really far away, even though he's way smaller than me, he would cover me up because it's closer.
Yeah.
Ergo, the
Physics.
waves are covering up the land. That's why we can't see it.
I don't know if it's physics or not. I'm just saying. Just saying words.
below on a curve.
Man, you're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Take the red pill, Hayden. Take the red pill.
Kool-Aid
So here's
since I was like 15.
so it's actually not that long ago for
Yeah,
you. so
Still years.
so the flat earthers, they tie that in with their belief of why the dinosaurs went extinct, right? So they believe that this meteor came in
This I can
and
get
wiped them all out, right?
Okay.
They're not wrong.
All right.
So, if you believe in the flat earth theory, you can also agree with that because the meteor comes in, hits basically any side of the pole, as long as it doesn't hit dead center of the earth, right? Then this theory still works. It hits one side, it hits it with such force and such power that the earth begins to rotate like a coin that's flipped through the air. Every dinosaur that's towards the edges begins flying through outer space. And all the ones that are in the center are then killed because of all the movement and their bodily autonomy is
Poor
just
animals.
all warped inside.
What about the rest of the animals?
Sucks, man. They're gone.
They're still here, though.
Not all of them had died.
Have, like humans alive. They didn't fall off.
Well, we didn't evolve until way after the dinosaurs, so.
Allegedly.
Yeah, see, so.
Exactly. That goo was still there.
So,
Plus, all the animals in the water, they didn't fly off.
potentially
They're in the
then,
water.
based off that theory,
Your microphone.
just make sure it's plugged in. Sorry, technical difficulties. So it's on. Is it working?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, so based off that theory, technically, we don't know if maybe the moon, we were never supposed to see it.
Yeah.
Right? Because who says while we were spinning, we stopped back at our original
I think
point?
there's a theory that
Maybe the
is
moon was
fake.
underneath us.
Well, no, the moon isn't fake. It's just made out of cheese.
And there's a man on it.
So says Tom and Jerry.
So it's just like a projection in the sky
Pretty
with all the
much.
rest of the stars?
Yeah.
I would think so.
We just
Guess
live
the
in
stars
a
are real?
matrix? Like it keeps
no,
going back
no,
to
no,
this
no.
matrix
We live
thing.
in a bottle, like a little like mason jar, where a giant pokes holes in the top. That's where all
It's
the
the light coming through.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where we see the stars.
Or
'cause
we're a
they're-
marble and the aliens are playing marbles with us.
Exactly.
Like, Men in Black. Yeah,
yeah.
for
That's
sure,
exactly
for
the
sure.
one.
All of these movies got it right in some fashion.
Was
So
the other
there's-
theory that we're hurling through space, going up, and that's like what keeps us
Down.
Gravity
Eventually
doesn't
we gotta
exist.
come back
it's
down, and
just
we're all just gonna
centrifugal
fly
force.
off the face of the earth.
That's Armageddon. When we stop and then there we go.
Just hit a speed
Because
bump.
objects in motion tend to stay in motion. The earth stops, we keep going.
Yeah. Say it.
Oh my
And then we
goodness.
join the dinosaurs.
That's so funny.
And
I
that's
think we're
where
coming
we
up with our own theories now. Our
Oh,
own,
yeah.
Our own conspiracy.
They
Look at
sound
the
just as
creative
plausible.
minds at
in
this
my
table.
opinion, they sound just as, if not more plausible.
All right. We're running out of
What's
time.
the-
We
what's the
need
next
you
one?
two to tell us yours.
Yeah, I went through two.
Oh, okay.
I think we already talked
What
about
was-
mine, kind of.
You talking about yours?
Yeah, because I want to talk about Illuminati, so we kind of got there already.
Yeah, do it.
No, just say what you know about Illuminati.
Basically, every single claim that has been made has zero evidence to back it up. So.
You have zero evidence to back that up.
Yeah. I told you earlier, Beyonce gave the sign of the Illuminati
Yeah,
at her halftime
multiple
show during
other-
the Super Bowl.
Multiple other.
What's that called? Arguing
Singers.
from when there's
History?
no lack
Oh.
of evidence. Like just because it doesn't say this doesn't make it not true. You know what I mean? Like, I can't remember.
I don't know the word,
like a
but
fallacy. I don't know.
no.
Anyways,
Maybe? I
It's
don't
a
know.
typological fallacy.
multiple other people have said they do that for more publicity and attention, because they know that it's going to get a reaction out of people.
Or they were just making a symbol. Like, they didn't mean to do it at all. It was just like they were waving and their hands touched. It's like, hi. Oh, I'm part of the Illuminati.
Or with the camera angles, one hand was over here, one hand was over here. But because the
But
way
then,
the
yeah,
camera
the
lines
camera,
up,
boom.
boom.
See, and this
Triangle.
is like exactly like it does.
What do you
Why would
say?
they-
What do you
I'm
say
just-
about the
I'm-
eye in the pyramid on the back of our money?
That's a religious symbol. Look
Of
it up.
the Illuminati.
No, look it up. It was like
The
created in
all-seeing
like
eye of the
15
Illuminati.
like the 1500s.
Technically.
When the Illuminati started.
So,
The Illuminati started in the 1700s.
do you lump them all together like Freemasons, Illuminati, all that?
I don't know. what
which now
Freemason
control
is.
the elite to eat babies today. Right? Like it's all part of
It
one
all
giant
ties
Let's
scheme.
together.
just
Yeah.
think about logic for a second. If the
No, you can't believe conspiracy theories if you use logic.
If the Illuminati is really as powerful as everybody says, why does everybody know about them if they're supposed to be a secret organization? Why wouldn't they just like
Dissenters?
The internet.
yeah, but like why wouldn't they take it if they're really that powerful, they could easily shut everybody up about them.
Why do you think Elvis died?
He's not dead.
Natural causes. I don't know.
Plot twist.
Have you ever been to Vegas? He's clearly alive.
He's everywhere. They cloned him.
You can't get around the fact that
Oh my gosh.
these ideas come from somewhere, and like the Freemasons definitely are a thing. Like we have a lodge in town
Right.
of Freemasons. George Washington, they say he was a Freemason. Benjamin Franklin, and that's where the I comes from. So I mean, I think a lot of stuff gets crossed, but there is a lot of stuff like even Skull and Bones. Do you remember George Bush and John Kerry? And they
No.
were both asked about Skull and Bones, and the response is, "Well, we can't talk about that." Like,
What
there
is what is
are-
Skull and Bones?
Skull and Bones from Princeton. Supposedly, it's like where politicians are groomed. You join.
Hey,
this
what is
club.
that? What is that show? There was a show. Oh, jeez. Keep talking. I'll look it up.
Skull and Bones.
No.
There's a few shows out there.
Because they made a movie about it. But yeah, so I mean, there are, well, you would say secret organizations where it seems pretty powerful people have gone or go. You know?
Mm.
So I don't know, that's my take.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that there's not secret societies. The Skulls.
It's just called the Skulls.
It's just called The Skulls. It's really good, actually. The first one. Then they made like 5 more, and they were done. But The Skulls was actually a really good movie. It's about a kid who goes to some Ivy League school and
Princeton.
yeah. Anyways, it was a good movie. But anyways, I'm not saying that there's not like groups of people who want to have world domination. I just don't
Right.
think that it's as big as we feed into it. Like, yeah, I'm sure that there are people like, I mean, Hitler wanted to dominate the world. Napoleon wanted to dominate the world. Alexander the Great wanted to dominate. I mean, everybody. There's always been people who wanted to dominate the world and control everything. I'm not saying it doesn't
Evil.
exist. I'm not saying there's not famous celebrities and movie stars and politicians who don't wish that they could, and maybe they get together and talk about it. But I don't see it actually being a real thing where it's happening on a grand scale. The Freemasons, definitely a thing. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about how they're Satan worshipers too, and
Right.
all sorts of stuff. I've known some good Christians who were very happy about the club that they went, the Lions Club or the whatever club or the, and they love Jesus. They had no idea of any of that other stuff. Which, okay, maybe they weren't part of the in leadership.
Well, that's the thing is
but
like levels. Like once you get to like level 30,
yeah,
that's when you do the real ritual.
Kind of sounds like Mormons.
yeah, I was thinking it's like part of Mormonism and those other, cults.
I go all the way to level 30. It's like 6 or 7 missions. I don't have that kind of time.
Everything's Call of Duty.
So I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that our government isn't necessarily not ran by crooked people, and I mean all sorts of underlying things that are not okay. But I just don't see this world grand scheme thing. I think the Bible tells us there is going to be a world grand scheme thing. It's going to be the Antichrist and what he sets up, and everything else up until then we should stop stressing about, and stop
maybe
feeding
not.
into, because we read something and we're like, oh, that's the Illuminati, that's the elitists, that's the baby eaters, that's whatever it is,
But
and we
honestly-
saw it on Facebook, or we saw it on some Google ad that popped up because we were looking at stuff on Facebook, or whatever it is. And so all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is, and I don't think it's as big as we make it out to. Are bad things happening? Yes. Is sex trafficking out of control? Yes. Are people been proven to be involved in that shouldn't have been? Absolutely. But is the whole world working together to create this weird, crazy thing? No.
Corey's nodding his head yes.
We can't agree. We can't agree on anything. And so, I mean, they go to the conferences and all of the stuff and the UN meetings, and all they do is fight with each other. I just don't see
Or
how.
at least that's all they show. That could be staged.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, that would be a
Once
good
the
point.
camera gets
To
turned
look
off,
so incompetent that, you know,
to
you
throw
hide
us
your
off.
competence.
So it wasn't real when like they were at the thing and Biden's asleep during the UN meeting. That was fake.
Yeah, it was all just to make him seem more incompetent.
Guys, God,
Because that's what we need.
Yes, God's dementia.
come on.
So what is your conspiracy theory?
I think we pretty much touched on it. I just kind of wanted to talk about all that. And I knew where it was going to go. New
Oh,
World
okay.
Order, stuff like that.
I do think that they all kind of intertwine, though. The
Yeah.
QAnon conspiracies, like because the QAnon itself is not a conspiracy. I mean, it is, but it's more of a
Conspiracy
we're
theory.
afraid of the conspiracy theories, so it created its own conspiracy theory, which I do think ties into the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the One World Order, all of that stuff. Again, I know nothing about this stuff. I pay zero attention to it. I purposely did not bring a whole lot of information today. I told Hayden I'm just going to come and sit because I disagree with it. I think it's hilarious. I'm going to tell you they're wrong. Because it's just...
You can't make those claims and say you don't do any research into it and say it's all fake.
Yeah, if you don't do any research, then how can you say that it's wrong?
It's all,
Yeah, you're not a credible source.
it's all fake. That's why
Get
I
outta
don't do any
here.
research into it. If it was real, I would research it.
Before we're out of time, you said you had one that he can't rebut, or he's not
Well,
going to rebut.
I just don't think you'll care.
Hmm.
I don't think
Because I
you'll.
really care about birds not being real.
I think you do.
Yeah, we spent like 15 minutes on the
impressive.
birds alone.
That's so impressive.
That is really
that
good.
he was
That
able to
is-
do that, make all that money, and then be like, "Hey, I was kidding."
Hey, by the way,
But people, I mean, not
People
to,
jumped
not to
into it.
sidetrack, but not just that, but like I think we brought this up before. But there's literally a religion of the giant spaghetti monster in the sky, and people are like,
That
"We
started
worship
out-
giant
Rastafarians.
spaghetti
That
monster."
I
started
think
out as
it's
a joke, too.
pronounced Sketty Monster.
Spaghetti monster, whatever. I'm just saying,
Sketty.
people will follow anything.
Yeah.
like Scientology.
We should know better as
Stay tuned.
Christians
Yeah.
to not follow.
But don't they
All
say
of-
that about us, though?
Well, yeah, because they think that we follow anything because we believe in a God we can't see.
All right.
They're wrong. Anyways,
So here's the other one. Here's the other
what were
one.
we gonna? Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, no, I was just going to say that I think we live in a time and a world where nothing would shock me if they are eating adrenochrome, if they are doing this or that. Like, it honestly wouldn't surprise me. We live
It
in-
wouldn't surprise.
pretty crazy.
I just don't think it's. And even if there might be some people out there eating babies,
There's definitely
but-
people out there doing that stuff.
it's probably true.
Yeah,
but
I
the
mean-
mass scale that the conspiracy theorists believe it's happening,
Yeah.
that's where I now. You know, of course, the conspiracy theorists are going to say because you're brainwashed and you don't whatever. But-
Please
Yeah.
comment that, please.
Well,
Yeah,
I
please
mean,
put a comment in there.
in the Bible, in the land of Canaan, they sacrificed children all the time in their
all
religions.
the time.
It was
Yeah.
horrible. It was horrible. That's why
Well,
God said,
So-
"Don't go near them."
So is it plausible that someone would try to rekindle that?
Oh yeah, for
think
sure.
it's
And
possible,
I'm not
yeah.
saying that they're not somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just saying the conspiracy theories on the mass, scale that people believe it's not. I don't know. I just personally, I don't see how we have this one giant world order thing coming together. I don't see how we can have that until the Antichrist comes. And I don't think he needs the Clintons to set it up for him. That's just my.
Well, no.
Like I
So
said,
what won't he
but
care
I don't
about?
do
I'm
any
really
research.
curious about
Okay, go ahead.
We
Okay,
keep cutting
so-
you off.
The last one, the third one. No, I'm actually really glad that we spoke a little bit more about that. The last one, the third one that I brought today was that T-Rexes are not necessarily what has been pushed in our face our whole life. So there's been a lot of research done lately. And if you watch the new, it's interesting because a lot of people are actually getting on board with this because if you watch the new
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic World, the brand new Jurassic World, they start incorporating feathers on all these different kinds of dinosaurs. So like more and more people are getting on board.
There's like a big scene
with
with, like a bird dinosaur.
It's like a feathered velociraptor,
Yeah.
like fully feathered velociraptor. So they're starting to believe that not just Tyrannosaurus Rex, but also like multiple other ones that had the little itty bitty arms, were actually like winged dinosaurs.
Those are like buffalo wings. hanging
So
on.
there's something about like the cartilage in your wings, it decays, and the bones on top of that too, the bones in the wings of like birds and all sorts of other animals that have, well, they're all birds. All the birds that have wings, the bones in there are a lot more brittle than the rest of the bones in their body too. So like the odds of that being preserved like the rest of them is like very minimal, especially since it was such a large animal too. And most of the people that are talking about this also aren't Christians, so they believe in evolution, not a worldwide flood that wiped everything out. So I'm just saying, on behalf of them, they believe that those little itty-bitty arms that everybody says are useless were actually wings. So one of the other reasons why is because if you compare the fossils of the T-Rex to the fossils of like an ostrich, they're really, really similar. And so then you get into further debate about, okay, well, then could the T-Rex fly? Because the ostrich can't fly, and the T-Rex is like way, way bigger. But then if you also look at the fossils of a goose, the fossil of a goose is almost exactly the same as an ostrich, other than size, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. And a goose can fly.
Well, are the
And
T-Rex's
so-
bones hollow?
Some of them.
What I'm hearing right
Can you
now
tell
is
if-
dinosaurs were prehistoric government drones.
I'm just wondering, like, 'cause aren't
The government went back in time, created dinosaurs as drones.
It was really hard to get that out without laughing.
I'm actually intrigued at this.
This is it's a fun one too, because like think about all the recipes that called for dragon and stuff like that too. Like dragons have to
So-
fly.
One thing about dinosaurs is we put a lot of stock in someone coming up with what they looked like.
Right.
And all we really have is a few
Is their
bones to
bones.
go off of. We don't have whatever color their skin was and what shape their scales were and what color their eyes and, you know,
Do
whatever.
they have fur?
Yeah, or if they had
What
fur.
sound they made.
Or wings or whatever. We really have no idea if they had feathers or scales. We don't know. We assume a lot of lizard type things.
Yeah.
But really we don't. And so I mean this has been proven with the T-Rex, right? The T-Rex didn't eat meat. And they've proven this because
I have never heard that before.
you've never heard this?
I've never heard that before.
So first off,
What?
if we go to the Bible, it couldn't have eaten meat, for one, because things didn't eat meat until after the flood.
Garden of Eden. Yeah.
So first off, the Bible automatically rules that out. But secondly, they've proven that
Never even thought about that. That's so funny.
they've
That's
proven
so
none of the
funny.
dinosaurs ate meat, actually, if you go by that. But they've proven that the root structure on the tooth
Mm-hmm.
of a T-Rex, if he had ripped into flesh, it would have pulled all his teeth out.
Oh,
His
poor
root
guy.
structure was very, very small. The teeth were actually, they believe, meant for raking leaves off branches.
Ah.
To like go in and then just rake them all off.
They're
And so
herbivores.
herbivores.
The
But you know, we're not
herbivores.
going to teach that because it's more fun when they, you know, when they
Go
eat people.
crazy.
Because
Yeah.
then Jurassic Park wouldn't be fact.
Scary. Oh,
It would be fiction. So
that is true. Jurassic Park is fact.
it must be.
But my point, though, is like we don't really know a lot of stuff. We're just going off
Yeah.
of some ideas and some possibilities. So I mean, I'm not going to jump on that. Ooh, they were all birds, but it's possible.
Did you ever? This is way off subject. Jurassic Park. Did you ever see that? Which Facebook is, I think, a root of a lot of stuff. But it was a
has
picture
ruined
of like
the world.
it was Steven Spielberg laying next to one of the dinosaurs he's created, and like it was going around saying that he murdered this thing, and like he look at these trophy hunters, and like it was a joke, but like then people were really like, oh my god.
It's him laying next to the Triceratops or something. Like, oh, he wanted the horns, he just killed it. Like,
Killed the dinosaur.
I believe it.
Oh man, that's funny.
But I actually had never heard of that until you brought it up.
Yeah.
That the T-Rex was actually a bird, or had feathers at
Had
least.
feathers.
Yeah,
Had feathers.
never heard of that.
Oh, I definitely
Yeah.
have.
Again, I don't pay attention to any.
Well,
of
they
this
have
kind
to
of stuff.
like go with the whole bird transition.
Yeah, they were like, oh, it was actually part of the bird family, not the reptile family. So then they had to throw feathers on it to make it.
Like reasonable.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Not just like
Yeah.
Now you know.
they grew
Now
feathers
you
out of
know.
them.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Can you
Any other
imagine just a giant reconnaissance drone?
That's all I'm. As you're talking about it, like in my brain, all I'm seeing is just like caveman spy drones just running around.
He flies around, opens up his mouth, and like this dish pops out.
Yeah.
It's like his scanning.
But it's all like the prototype, so it's like clunky.
Oh my god.
That's why they didn't fly yet. They were too heavy at that point.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah,
Oh.
but
I
this
wish that
is,
we could.
this
I
has
don't
been
know.
fun.
Are we allowed to put other people's videos in our comments?
Like links to
Are we
it?
allowed to put
Comments?
like our links
Like
to our
linked?
videos? Like,
I don't know.
Is
We
that-
should.
is that legal?
Like
I want to
one
put
that
the
I said.
bird one that Jeremiah sent out to everybody this
Oh, yeah, you can
yesterday.
do that.
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
description,
sick.
probably.
We're, there's gonna be a birds aren't real video in the comments. Watch
In the
it.
description.
Oh, it's so funny.
But
The-
if
the
you
description,
comment
not
on
the
theirs and
comments.
not on ours, I'll be very upset. So comment on ours
Just
too.
letting you know right now. Oh man, this was fun.
This was fun.
This
I was
was
excited
fun.
about today just because I knew there was gonna be some crazy stuff that
Yeah.
we talked about.
If you hear of any other funny
Conspiracies,
conspiracies,
put 'em in
shoot
the
'em our
comments,
way, too.
yeah.
We'll talk about those too.
You know, next, are we gonna do the religion we talked about earlier?
I think we should.
Next, yeah. So the next one would be another
would
big
love to.
conspiracy,
Yeah.
or at least it's just as funny
Cult.
as the conspiracies, in my opinion. But
man.
so yeah,
Funnier even, I would say.
it's funnier, yeah, more funny.
Funnier.
Funniest.
Anyways, all right,
Funnier is a word.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You just have to use it at the right time.
yeah. I don't know.
I think you need to say both. Actually, this is so off topic.
Yeah, way off topic.
Okay, well, have a great
Thanks.
night. Thank
Push
you
the
again
bell,
for watching.
Press subscribe, the like, all the stuff.
Share. The arrow. That was the best one so far.
We got all over the place on that one. Like we just jumped all over
Yeah,
the place.
that's what people want to see. They don't want to see some four dudes just. This is what we're talking about today, and we're not going to get off the subject at all, and we're just going to stay boring the whole
The
time.
first 15 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes did we kill on just birds?
15. It was 15.
Yeah, we talked about birds, but birds kept coming up.
And we kept
We
laughing so
kept
hard.
going on the birds.
Oh, I loved it.